G'day guys, welcome to Dream Design Do TV with Zaki Ameer. I'm your host Peter Montgomery from the petermontgomeryshow.com. Now each week we ask Zaki a question about property investing. Zaki's done this amazing thing where he created a property portfolio of $3 million in the space of 3 years with only 15 properties. And the amazing thing is he did this with a low startup capital. So welcome to the call, Zaki.
G'day, Peter. Good to speak to you.
Now, Zaki, I want to talk to you this week about the size of the deposit that you need to invest. Now, I know you can invest with a large deposit of 20% or a smaller deposit of 5%. I want to ask you, which way do you prefer?
Yeah, good question, Peter. The deposit, I guess, is the amount of money that is required to get into an investment property, or even more so, even if you're buying your own home. Now, the deposit is basically the security to the bank if for any reason you get into trouble with paying back that loan and the loan remains overdue over time. The bank obviously has the right to repossess that house and sell it on the market at market price. Now, the standard deposits that most banks require are 20%. The reason it is 20% is the reason that if you do get in trouble and the bank has to fire sale that property, they consider that the property can be sold up to 20% or up to 80% of its market value. Now let's just take this example that I normally use, that you have a $100,000 deposit, whether it be savings or equity from your own home or gift from family and so on. Now, with $100,000, you went and bought an investment property using a 20% deposit. Now, by using a 20% deposit, it's 20% of 300, and let's just say that the property price that you're going to purchase using my strategy is $300,000. So a 20% deposit on $300,000 is $60,000. Now, you purchased that house with $60,000 using your deposit, and then you have stamp duty and other fees. And let's just say, well, you have that investment property, which is great. However, you can't really go any further in the meantime because you've used all your deposit. Now, let's just compare an apple-to-apple example using the same scenario, that you're going to now go and purchase a similar $300,000 house. However, this time, you're going to use a 5% deposit. There are certain lenders out there, some other major banks, however, policies change all the time in which they allow you to purchase a property with a 5% deposit. Now, 5% of $300,000 is simply saying that you only need $15,000 for that property that you're going to purchase. So the previous example was you'd need $60,000, i.e. a 20% deposit to purchase that property, or using a 5% deposit, you would only need $15,000. Now, you still have some spare money because you were starting off with $100,000. So using this example of a 5% deposit, you can go up to purchasing 3 properties, and then that would cost you a 40% deposit. I mean, a $40,000 deposit. Now, we obviously know by buying 3 properties, there'll be stamp duty and other fees associated. But let's just say by buying 3 properties with a 5% deposit, you need $40,000, and such with all the other costs associated, you've used up the entire $100,000. But the more important part to know is that by buying 3 properties, now you have an asset portfolio of 3 times $300,000, which is $900,000 or a near $1 million. And that is the goal, is to create a base of an asset portfolio that grows over value. So you got to ask yourself, which is better, having 1 property at $300,000 or having 3 properties that are diversified and well balanced using my strategy that I consult with my clients for $900,000. And that's the reason I would tend to advise, depending on the client's situation, a lower deposit. Now, there is something called lender's mortgage insurance, and that basically says that if you borrow more than 80% from a bank or from a lender, you would have to pay the lender's mortgage insurance in most cases. And that's just saying that it's the bank's way of protecting the bank itself in case you were to default on this 5% property and then the bank sells it on a fire sale in the open market, and let's just say that the bank sells it for 20% less, Now the bank's out of pocket by 15%. That's when lender's mortgage insurance kicks in, and then the insurance company pays the bank the difference of the 15% for the loss they made. So lender's mortgage insurance is basically there to insure the bank as opposed to insure the customer. However, the insurance premium is paid by the customer because of the fact that they're able to get into a loan or get into an investment property which are much less deposit. But there are ways to get around that also using the way I invest and I work with my clients called capitalization of lender's mortgage insurance, in which you don't have to pay the mortgage insurance upfront and you can scale it to pay it as a monthly premium. But it's best that I sit with my clients and chat about this more in detail about what's the best strategy and advice to be given on. However, in this, just to compare an apple to apple example, you can either go and buy one property with a 20% deposit, or you can go and buy 3 properties with a 5% deposit.
Excellent, Zaki. Thanks so much, mate. I'll talk to you next week.
Thank you.
Just after we filmed this episode, I actually had a chat with Zaki about why someone would actually choose a 20% deposit over a 5%. And he just said something along the lines of some might not even know that it's available, that they can choose one or the other. And generally that people will choose the 20% because they don't want to be in so much debt to the bank. So but if you want to find out for your specific situation, I suggest get in contact with Zaki personally. There should be a link just below this video, or if you're watching it on some other site, there's a link just below. Click through and actually contact Zaki to see what's the best situation for you.